What is going on, everybody? It is Sully, it is Friday, and it is time for another Back Cove 390 update for Boston Yachts. We are getting ever closer to the finish line on this project. If you take a look behind me here, you're going to see a lot of the boxes that were there are finally starting to go away. We are finally thinning the herd on all of that and what's going on with this build. That's twofold. We're getting a lot of stuff installed, but we're also getting a lot of things inside the boat because it is going to be leaving here on Monday morning. It is going to be heading for the water. We're going to get this boat into the water and we're going to mark the true water line for this boat. Normally when you're doing a water line like this, you just kind of go 1 inch or 2 inch down below this boot stripe here and you call it good. But because this boat's getting a Seakeeper, because of the FCI water purifying system, because of the AC ISO boost transformer, the 50-foot anchor chain, the big anchor, everything else that's going on, we want to make sure we are getting an accurate and correct water line. So we're going to put it in the drink, go ahead and fill all the fuel tank, get the water tank full, fill the holding tank up, get everything chock-a-block full, get this thing just weighted down in the water as much as we can, so that way we have a good idea to make sure what's going on with this water line. So that's kind of an important thing there. So that's going to happen, and we're going to be doing that. So as I just mentioned, guys, the Seakeeper and getting weight and getting all those things done, well, take a look here as we go up the steps, and look, there it is, guys. The Seakeeper is finally in its home resting spot. Now, obviously, we've got to rotate that around and get that squared up. Corey actually has that on blocks right now because we are drilling and tapping the holes. This boat came Seakeeper ready. So as we take a look in there, you can kind of see some of the holes that have already been drilled out. That is a stainless plate that is laminated in there from Back Cove at the factory. So we have to go ahead, we have to drill that, and we have to tap that so the Seakeeper is going to be very securely mounted in there. So we've got that going on right there. You can see, obviously, we had to put in strut here to support the hatch and get it all up and get that taken care of. I've already talked about some of the other things we've got going on in there with our charge controller for the solar panels, some of our Lumishore lights, and all of that stuff. So we're making inroads in here, guys. Like I said, this is actually going to get filled up more. The FCI is going to be going in there, and the AC ISO boost transformer is also going to be going in there. So we've got a lot to go on still in there, but it's getting there. So now let's make our way forward on the boat as we get into here, and you're going to see TJ starting to get more things squared away on here as we make our way to this mid area here. We talked about this in a couple of the earlier episodes of being able to have the control functionality on board the boat, but not necessarily have to have your MFD on. In this case, it's going to be the Furuno system. We want to be able to just have access to everything right here. So we have our Seakeeper display right here. We've got our FCI display right here, our Fisher Panda. We've got our Fusion stereo, and we've got our Lumishore lights controller right here. So we've got our manual switches for our Lumishore lights, and then we can also go into here and change them, change colors, do all that kind of fun stuff with it as well. So all of that's going on. We take a look underneath here. You're going to see we've actually had to add an additional outlet receptacle area because we've got an Apple TV, a Roku TV, and the actual TV itself has to get installed there. So every one of these TVs needed additional outlets because it's not just the Apple TV. We're going to do the Roku as well. So we've got all of that going on. And then let's climb down into here, guys. Bear with me as we make the transition. As we go down here, you're going to start to see, once we get down into this space here, TJ has been hard at work getting this all buttoned up. So, guys, take a look here. Everything is starting to come together in here. You'll see we've got the conduit going in through here to keep everything nicely dressed. You see our Lumishore is actually online right there with our Lumalink. We have our EOS connector for our forward bow underwater lights. And if you guys take a look here, you're going to see all of our strip light drivers and courtesy light drivers, and everything is nicely labeled and connected. And you guys are going to see here, we actually have these stacked on top of each other, but we go ahead and we put a spacer here, so that way there's heat off of these things. We don't put them on top of each other. We allow airspace so that they can breathe. It's a very important thing with these drivers. They're small, so people want to put them into tight spaces, which is fine, but we got to give them a little bit of airspace, allow them to breathe, to allow that heat to dissipate on there. Heat is obviously the enemy. Come over here, we also start to see all of our branches and everything is labeled here. You know, Navtronics with everything going on there. Here's our Lumishore with all of our light drivers there. And then we've got everything else going here. We've got our amps, for the amps rather, right there. Speaking of the amps, those are tucked up and labeled right here. The MVI amps, we've got a 700 by 5 right here, a 400 by 4 right here. So JL should, I think they're coming tentatively end of the month. We're going to dial it in with them and make sure we've got this thing sounding just nice, perfect. So we've got that going on. We've also gone ahead, we've got our Pepwave box right here for the antenna. We've got one of our routers right here. And if we take a look in the overhead here, you're going to see a 24 12-volt converter right there from Orion for the radar. You're going to see the Icon black box, the Vesper black box, another Netgear router, and more wires. So there's a lot of stuff going on board this boat, guys. And it's starting to finally come together. We're getting things in. Still waiting on a couple of pieces, parts, widgets, and wingdings, but they're coming together. This boat has been great, and if you guys want to know any more about this project, leave it down below in the comments or email us at sales@navtronics.com. We will see you next week. We'll be in a new location, continuing to turn and burn on this boat as the team just keeps digging in more and more. So we'll see you guys next week. Peace.